Okay, so you've probably seen, if you're into any of the moto stuff, the guys over at Z-Trak have been doing a ton of social media marketing on Instagram, and I saw the video. I think that what they have set up is probably one of the better moto setups that I've seen. I'm sure there's a bunch of other ones, including the, of course, forever Joe hauler that goes on the back of these. But I got a pickup truck, the new 25 Gen 4 Toyota Tacoma. I've kind of already started on the install on doing these, or doing this setup. But basically, it's the 2-moto bundle from Z-Trak that allows you to use their setup here to install, which of course, as you can see, I've installed these backwards already. I was in a hurry to test fit stuff. But basically, this is set up to chock the front wheel, and I can carry 2 bikes in here. It's got tie-down points, it's got rings there, it's got all sorts of stuff. So this video will just talk really quickly about the installation, and I'll go through it in phases. That way we're not doing a bunch of time-lapse stuff and a bunch of stuff. It's just direct and to the point. So first of all, assemble these correctly. This should be flipped around on the other side because these need to grab onto that rack. These are going to clip in on there. So for shipping purposes, they send them like this. I just cinched them down before even realizing that they were in the incorrect position. So that one should look like this. And basically this is going to clip in and then chock the wheel. I got the low profile one because I want to have it, from a side you can't see it. I didn't want the big tall version of it. So that's what we went with on this. But those are the wheel chocks. The real thing, the real fun begins up here, which is installing the actual track. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is they do come pre-drilled with holes. However, those holes don't line up with the entirety of the truck bed. They've got the center ones, which is probably the more critical ones. And then from there, you are going to have to set up the rest of the holes here. So what I did is I took painter's tape, put it over so I could get a nice clean surface, high contrast with my Sharpie marker. I marked the center of the hole where it is, and then I'm going to mark the center on this frame, and I'm going to match the hole size. The Toyota has a 6mm bolt here. These, I believe, are 1/4 20. So they'll definitely, there's a little bit of room there to play, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to do the top to match the pre-existing holes that are already here for the bed rack. The Toyota includes stock. We're going to punch and drill those 5. And then this is a composite bed. So back in the day, they used to make these out of metal. These are now basically a blend of plastic and different composites and blah, blah, blah. So you can't just do a sheet metal screw into these things. So with that, we're going to be using some riv nuts on it. And from talking to Nate at Z-Trak, you have 5 points up top. You don't have to do all 10 points all the way across the bottom. This thing is really, really sturdy, especially with these bends. Like, this thing is not bending. It's a piece of hardware. So we're going to do 5 bolts up top, 5 bolts on the bottom, center on top and bottom, and then I offset these. So you've got 2 to the outside, 1 to the outside on the bottom here, 1 over here, that goes to the inside, and then same on that side. I repeated the pattern. So basically what we do is I'm going to punch these holes, come back, mark the holes on the bed. We're going to install the riv nut. For that, we're going to stick with the 6mm ones. Nate sent me some for the 1/4 20, the hardware that they use. And being a metric truck, I just want to stick with the same bolts, especially because I'm going to use the same bolts up at the top. I will get 6mm 1/0s for the bottom, just general what I have laying around right now. And then I'm going to get some more of the stock ones, just so it looks factory OEM, like Toyota should have included this for the moto guys out there. But okay, so long-winded explanation of the order of process. Phase 1, took off the other rack. It's a T30 to take this top piece off, this top rail. Remove the top rail, T30, got rid of those. Hung the Z-Trak one on there, just using the center bolt. Then lined everything up, marked painter's tape. and then getting ready to drill it. So basically, now that I've positioned where I'm going to want my bolts, I made sure that they were on the rise part, so that there's some meat in there. You don't want it down in the valley. You want it so that the part actually butts up onto it. So first phase is pretty much complete, which is just layout. Next phase that we're going to do when we come back, I'll have all the holes drilled. I will have the 5 set up on top. I'm going to snug and present those because I want the bottom ones to be aligned the absolute best perfect dead center on it. So again, phase 1, remove the rack, install the new rack, hanging it on the center bolt, mark with painter's tape where I need my holes to be to match the factory ones, and then drill holes all the way down where I need them to be for the Toyota Tacoma bed. Obviously, different beds are going to vary a little bit, but as long as you got that center bolt, that's a huge help and a huge head start to this whole thing. I don't have to worry about cutting up and measuring and doing all of this stuff when I already know that that's the center bolt. So we're going to get to it. We're going to do the punching. We'll do some drilling, and then we'll be back for the next phase. Okay, so we've got the holes drilled on the Z-Trak. Got them cleared out, did the chamfer on them so there are no sharp edges, mounted it up, and then what we did is we used the same as it was mounted. We used the hole that was already there to do the holes for these nuts here, and so, or T-nuts, or however you want to call them, but basically it's like a cert fitting, that kind of thing. Hole has been drilled to the size that it needs to be. This is fiberglass, so you may want to use some dust protection for that. So then what you do is there's different tools to do this, to install it, but basically whatever it takes to do it. I do these by hand. I had the power tool and I decided to go do it by hand because I didn't want to force it and possibly damage anything by putting too much torque to it. So basically we're pretty much ready to go. So on this phase, we drilled the Z-Trak, mounted it up, and then used the holes on the bottom side to put the 5 holes that we're going to need along the bottom edge. And then once we put this last one in, we should be able to present it. What I'm actually going to do, I was thinking about, is going to get the same bolts from Toyota, just get another set of 5 of these. That way it looks nice and uniform on the back. And again, that way it looks like something that Toyota would have done. So right now, we'll just finish this one up really quick. As you can see, so this is the tool from Z-Trak. The only thing I did differently is I purchased some 6mm by 1/0 inserts. I did not want to go with basically standard thread on a metric truck. I didn't want to mix the hardware, so to speak. And so right now, you'll feel it, like it'll compress, and then it gets to the point where it just doesn't want to turn anymore. As you notice, I'm not also using a big ratchet on this. I'm just doing it by hand with basically smaller tools. So, a bit of torque on there. Let's go ahead and release it. If I really wanted to, I guess I could get a torque wrench and then go in and max torque these to a certain spec and then call it good. I'm sure there is a spec somewhere, but for now, this thing looks like it is dialed in. So we'll hang this one up. And it looks like we are there, and we are there on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to mount this up really quick, and then we'll be back for the last part. Okay, so we have completed the install, and now knowing what I am doing, I could probably say this could be done in an hour or less, but final phase was getting the lower bolts installed into the riv nuts that you guys saw me install. This last one over here. Took some 6mm flathead cap screws with a finishing washer across the bottom. I might actually do that for the top because I think it looks pretty trick. But cinched everything up, lined it up, everything installed really, really easy. I like that the front of the truck now is more rigid with this installed and supported. It's really hanging there, and it's kind of pulling back or pulling the bed tight. I shouldn't say that. It's reinforcing this, but it's also like the steel piece is actually the load bearing part of it. It's not putting all of that pressure into a 2-inch wide spot on, or 2 or 3 inch wide spot on the bed, like it would normally if you didn't have a tire chock or something like that in it. So, all in all, I think the install is really easy on these things. Super handy. You've got all of these rings here, where you could use, to tie down some stuff to this. May even go as far as like, when I'm not doing this, I'll carry a set, and then I could have my full-size spare tire in here with, with a ratchet strap around it. So it's cool that it's really universal for that. But yeah, final phase was super easy. We'll just cover that up once again. Was getting the bottom bolts all set up, installed the riv nuts, and then bolt everything into place. I started with the bottom bolts first, and then cinched up the top bolts at the very end, and did not go wild on these. It's just a quick, zap with it. I could probably break out the torque wrench and put a specific, 15 Newton meters on it or something like that, just to be thorough with it. But yeah, I mean, super simple to do. So I'm stoked. Can't wait to get a bike in here, tie it down, and just get everything kind of situated. We're supposed to go riding tomorrow here in San Diego. So looking forward to that, but going to try this new setup out and see how that goes. But yeah. So anyway, I'll put a link in the description to their website if you guys want to check that out. And then if you got any questions, drop the comments below, and I'm happy to help with that. But yeah, not too bad. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. See ya.